Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of MELFOOTBALL, where we talk soccer, community, and also the sport that brings us all together. Today, I have a special guest joining me, a former pro, also college player, and now motivation speaker, and a man of the people. So we have Channing. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing amazing. It's the best day of my life. I get to talk with you today, and I'm breathing, so I can't complain at all.
Yeah, that's I guess that's a good start. That's a good start.
Right?
Yes. So we'll just kind of talk about, what you're, growing up playing soccer. So could you tell us a little bit of, how you got introduced to the beautiful sport we call football/soccer?
Yeah. So it started. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. Started about. I started playing soccer by the age of 3. I was playing so many other sports, but soccer was one that just stuck out to me. Especially in Cleveland, Ohio. Many of the other kids that looked like me were playing football, basketball, track, which were all fun sports that I played. But biggest thing with soccer was that I was able to stand out for the way I looked. So if I was going to stand out for the way I looked, I wanted to stand out for also being the best. I also thought that being good at something with your feet was pretty cool, right? Like being good at using your hands in football or baseball is awesome, but it's pretty cool to be unique and be able to do amazing things with your feet as well.
Awesome. So yeah, so that's quite interesting, especially with your background. So um was there a certain moment that kind of attracted to soccer? Was it like since you have so many choices in the US, you can go football, baseball, all the other. So how was that, soccer was that sport for you?
Yeah, so I started to get to the age where I was playing so many different sports, which I was fortunate with my parents. They introduced sports like I played even hockey, lacrosse, track, baseball, all the sports. But soccer was just one that I just truly enjoyed. Like I loved running, I loved having a ball at my feet, I loved juggling the ball. There was just something about soccer that just stood out from the rest, and that's why I just ultimately chose soccer.
So was there a player that you kind of look
Mhm.
up to that were like, I want to be that guy or girl?
Oh, good question. I loved Ronaldo growing up. Like that was probably one, especially when he was at Real Madrid and Manchester United. Like that was my idol. But I also love watching Ronaldinho, and then Crystal Palace is my favorite Premier League team. When
Okay.
they had Yannick Bolasie and Wilfried Zaha on both of their wings, those are two players that I modeled my game after because I loved being a fast, skillful winger. So I love those two players as well.
Nice, nice. So I think we can pretty much say you are the very first Crystal Palace fan on this show. So I guess I can check that one out. Um, and we know that soccer was very scarce in the US. So was there a local team that you had the chance to kind of watch and kind of you know experience the other side of what soccer is?
Not really. That's the thing. Is like you said, soccer in the U.S. is pretty scarce,
Mhm.
and it's pretty rare to have, especially when I probably about 20 years ago when I first started playing the game. So this is probably 2003, 2004. And the MLS wasn't big, so Champions wasn't that. So there's not many teams that I watched growing up in the U.S. If I'm being honest, besides maybe a little bit of the U.S. men's national team.
Okay. So yes, and I think that's why I was asking because there's we'll probably will touch of how the disconnect in the world of soccer in the US especially. So I think it looks like then so there was so how did you kind of hone your skills? Was it more of like yourself and then watching from overseas and then your club, or what? How was that that transition for you to get those skills?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was just always having a ball at my feet. Even when my mom was mad at me for having a ball in the house, playing around, kicking the ball against the wall. I think that's really how I developed a lot of my skills is really just having a ball at my feet at all times, whether it was in the house, whether it was outside in the backyard, or where it was at. I usually had a ball. And then also YouTube. YouTube was really big for me. Like I love just watching soccer highlights at night. That was a regular basis. Like it was kind of my nightly routine. Check out YouTube, go on there, put on some Ronaldo highlights, or Premier League highlights, and then also, like you said, watching the Premier League and watching La Liga, especially when it was El Clasico, like it was Messi versus Ronaldo. I was watching those games all the time with some of my best friends, and that also allowed me to hone in on my skills and try watch those games in practices and with my club.
Nice, nice. So I'm going to clip this part because all of the kids that I either coach or I watch play, always tell them, if you don't have anyone to watch in your surroundings, the best way to do it to hone your skills is to watch the professionals and then kind of try to emulate what they're doing so you can kind of do it, and maybe not watching the sport itself, and it maybe does not help you as much unless you're savant and the ball is glued to your feet 24/7.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like as I got older, like I didn't watch the game for the fun of it. I started to analyze what each player was doing in the game. Like when they got the ball, like why are they passing it there, or what would I have done in that situation, right? Would I drive? Would I take that player on, or would I pull it back because there's three defenders and I have no one else helping support, right? So that's exactly what you're saying. Is that the best way is not just to watch the game, but also analyze the game and see what you would do in those different situations that the pros are in.
Nice, nice. So pretty much, sounds like soccer started at home with you first, and then kind of use, what was on TV available to hone those skills. So, and then I guess your progression from home. Did you play any club teams? Was there any that formation that kind of helped you move up
Yeah, I
the
played.
levels?
Yeah, so when I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. Started playing like rec when I first got out there, um, and then I started to play for Hudson United, which was a club team in Hudson, Ohio. And then from there, I moved to Arizona. Then I played for Arizona Arsenal, which was in the casino, and also just like a top division of Arizona club soccer. We didn't have academy teams out here in Arizona. We only had one academy team, which is Real Salt Lakes, and then that was Casa Grande. But they moved to Utah, where it should have been the whole time, right? I think about in 2017, they moved to Utah, to Harriman, Utah. I had a trial with them. They asked me to come to Utah, but I didn't want to move from Arizona, so I just played for Arizona Arsenal. And then we won state for about three times. We went to the semifinals of Dallas Cup once, went to regionals. So that team was one of the best teams I've ever played for.
Yep. Awesome. So did you happen to play any high school soccer in that transition?
I did play high school soccer. I played for Hamilton High School. We were able to win state my freshman year, and I scored in the state championship game my freshman year. And then we went on to play in the state championship game again my senior year, but we lost to Brophy High School. But I think high school soccer really allowed me to develop as a player as I was going through my development as a soccer player.
Nice, nice. And probably from our past discussion when I mentioned, the high school Champions League and all those high schools doing, that bracket like to see who their champions. So since you've had the opportunity to play high school soccer and win state and in that event, could you tell us maybe a little bit more of like, how that environment kind of built you up to kind of, prepare yourself for then college and then the pros? How was that experience?
Yeah, I think it's a great experience. I think it's something that isn't used much nowadays, high school soccer, which I think it should be, because I felt like when every kid came back from my club team to play for their high school team, they came back better because when you leave your club team, not every player is going to be a starter, right? You only have 11 players that can be on the field. But when they left to go to the high school team, every kid was the best, right? So um, they were able to hone in different skills. They were able to play different positions, and that is something that is amazing because when you're just playing on your club team, you're kind of pinned into one position. You're kind of pinned into maybe being a bench player. But when you go to high school, you're usually probably one of the best teams, one of the best kids on your team, which allows you to try different skills, which allows you to be in different pressure situations, which will then help you in your development. And that's exactly what it did for me.
Awesome, awesome. So looks like you have Olivier Giroud twin that just called you as Jennings the true Ohio State baller. So it looks like he jumped a little bit high. He jumped from high school straight up to college. So I guess for Olivier Giroud, that he's a World Cup champion. So that's a heck of a calling you a baller. So uh, so I guess now jumping to your college days to Ohio State. So it looks like you went from at home, and then after that experience from high school soccer, and then now you go to the Ohio State. So how was that like? And also, can you tell us a little bit more about that collegial experience and how it's like to pretty much play at home still in your college days?
Yeah. Yeah, so I ended up moving from Ohio at the age of 11, but Ohio to play the dream was always to play at Ohio State ever since the age of 3 when I first found out about soccer. Moving from to Arizona, I was pretty distraught. I was like, how am I going to make this dream a reality to play at Ohio State? And we can be going more in depth of how I actually made it to Ohio State maybe later on in this show. But yeah, my time at Ohio State was amazing. Was my dream school, and it exceeded my expectations tenfold. Like the academics, the team camaraderie, the overall college campus, the people I was able to meet. I met people that will be friends for the rest of my life. And then also with the soccer, I was able to play my freshman year. So the first game of the season, I played my freshman year, and it was a big difference, right? The speed of play is different. You're playing against guys that are 5 to 6 years older than you sometimes. So the physicality was different. I was a speed kid, so I had to learn how to get in the weight room with the lifts and be able to speed up my game. Came to my soccer IQ as well. And I feel like those were some of the biggest challenges when it came to college soccer. And then also off the field, it came about time management. How do you manage your time with your social life, with your schoolwork, with your academics, right? To be also the best soccer player and be for your team and for yourself.
Yeah, so it looks like they prepare you for regular life fairly quickly. It looks like time management and all that. So um, that's a great start. And you mentioned maybe did you have a few stops before play for Ohio State?
No, I played at Ohio State, but in high school, I committed to Ohio State at the end of my sophomore year. And then I went on to the team that I committed to, so the coaching staff, and retiring. So they left. So I had to decommit from Ohio State. And then the Ohio State coach came in, and he saw that I was committed to Ohio State, but he never saw me play, so he had to see me play. So I decommitted. And then he reached out to me. He was like, hey, can we see you play? I need you to come to the Indiana University ID soccer camp, because he was the assistant coach at the University of Indiana, which is probably the best soccer program in history of college soccer, right?
So we heard, yes.
Yeah, so I went there and I played amazing, and he was my coach the entire camp, and he ended up re-offering me a spot on the team, and I wasted no time in committing back to my dream school, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and that's pretty rare. I would have to say that a team that you were looking up since you were 3, and you actually committed, then have to decommit it and get back to it. So, and stay within your state. So I think that's a pretty rare feat for a lot of people to hear that the school you wanted to go is the school you play for. Not only going to college to study, but also play the sport you love so much. So it looks like you grinded out and got pretty much to where you wanted to be either way.
Yeah, no, it definitely, like you said, it's definitely rare. Especially people that even want to just go to like their dream college just to study. But this is my dream school to play soccer at, and you know how it is with soccer. There's less than 1.5% of kids that play Division I soccer, and then it's even less if you count how many people play big time Division I soccer, which is like the Big Ten, ACC. used to be Pac-12, right? That's
Yep.
ACC and other things like that. And then also the percentage gets even smaller when you have black college soccer players trying to play Division One. So yeah, it's definitely something I don't take for granted, and it was definitely a blessing, that opportunity to reach out and achieve my dream of playing soccer at Ohio State.
Yeah, and then after that, you add all the extra foreign players too, so that add even more of a challenge. So, that definitely follow the path, and it shows the hard work you put in. It's pretty much pulled out for the college that you wanted. So yes, so could you tell us? So was there any time within Ohio State that kind of step up when they're asking you about your experience there, where that's the first thing you tell someone, how it was like to
Yeah,
play for Ohio State, and any experience that jumps out?
yeah, I would say the first that jumps out is not an easy experience. Just because you reach your dream of playing college soccer at your dream university doesn't mean it's not gonna challenge or things that could derail you from continuing to achieve your dream. And the first thing that comes to mind is after my sophomore year. So this was during COVID. We had a COVID season, so we played in the spring instead of the fall. I was playing about, probably as a sophomore, probably about 40 to 50 minutes a game. But there was a super senior that was playing over me. And at the end of the year, I asked the coaches, like, why was this guy playing over me? When I came in, I was producing. I could have scored more goals, but I was creating chances for the rest of my teammates, strikers. And I was like, why? And they were like, we just always thought he was going to produce. And this kind of frustrated me. And I thought, deserved better than that. So I entered the transfer portal to transfer to somewhere else. The coaches let me get a week to figure out what I wanted to do and what would be best. But I ended up deciding, talking to myself and having the right mentality, like, who do I look like leaving Ohio State, my dream school, just because things got difficult. So I decided to come back to Ohio State, and I really honed in on a 1% better everyday mindset, right? I was making a promise to myself that every day I was going to get 1% better, whether it meant physically, spiritually. In soccer, I was going to get 1% better at passing, 1% better with my left foot, 1% better at crossing, whatever it was, I was going to get 1% better every day. So I went back to Ohio State that following, after that sophomore season, and that's when I had my best season yet. So that's the thing that I talk about when I say my time at Ohio State is never easy, but when you grind it out and you put the work in, everything happens for a reason.
Now I see where that 1% kid story comes about in the book. So, but I think we'll probably just wait a little bit to more of your professional careers, right? So you went from, it looks like you've reached pretty much every state of American soccer, and all the way to the pro stage. But there's one part that also there's not really highlighted as much as we like to, is that also black and brown people that are do not have the introduction to the world of soccer, because there's so much competition with soccer, basketball, baseball, and others. So could you tell us a little bit more of that experience before you turn professional? Because once you get to the professional level, that's where you see more of like the global view of things. But kind of going back from college all the way down, how was that experience? And could you tell us a little bit more of what you would like to see for people of color that maybe have a little bit more of those opportunities, especially when it comes to soccer as a almost middle class like sport?
Yeah, for me, I never really, whenever I was on a soccer team, a club soccer team, I was one of only probably two black kids on my team, or I was the only black kid on my team, which was usually the case. I think a lot of that was not just because I was super talented and I was on good teams, but I think a lot of it was also because a lot of the other black kids I saw that loved soccer couldn't afford it, which was unfortunate. And I don't think that just because you don't have money means you shouldn't be able to play the game that you love and shouldn't have the access or ability to play it, because soccer has been great for me, not just because of the athletic aspect of it and the different experiences I've been able to live out, but also making me grow as a person. I've learned teamwork. I've learned time management. I've learned how to be a leader. I've learned so many different characteristics that have allowed me to be a better person by playing the game of soccer. So I don't think that kids or people should be taking away that opportunity just because of their socioeconomic status. And as I got older, I even saw that in the college ranks. Like I was one of only the whole time, probably one of only 4 or 5 black kids on the team, right? And sometimes there's only 2 on the team. So it does kind of it's kind of disheartening sometimes for kids that are black American soccer players to see not that many of them playing the game or the sport. But I feel there's starting to be a shift, and kids are starting to see that it doesn't matter what you look like, you can really ball out and enjoy the game of soccer in America, right? And I'm starting to see a lot more black and African American kids game, which brings a smile to my face.
Yes, and also and kind of jumping to your book, The 1% Kid, as well. Before we go to the professional ranks, because I think that's the one that everybody probably will like to talk about. So could you tell us a little bit more of, like, it looks like your motivation is part of that also, that make it a lot more inclusive as well. So could you tell us a little bit more about that 1% Kid book that you have written, and how you're using your motivation speaker skills to kind of reach out to those kids? I saw that you were in that one elementary school, I believe. So those were the things that I hope you can give us a little bit more detail on the book, and then what you're doing outside the pitch.
Yeah, so for me, when I was playing professionally, I got injured and I had a lot of time to think. And actually, in college, my mom asked me to write a children's book, or she said, you should write a children's book. And I said at first, no, I'm not going to write a children's book. Like, who would read this story? I don't think I can do it. But when I had that time during my injury to really reflect and come to terms with myself that I do want to leave a legacy, I just started writing. And I'm super passionate about goal setting and teaching kids to reach their dreams and goals. So that's exactly what I wrote the book about. So what came about was The 1% Kid, which is a book. I have this one right here. That's what it looks like. The 1% Kid, which is all about teaching kids that with the right mindset, you can achieve anything you put your mind to. So we talk about the 3 P's: practice, perseverance, and patience are what you need to reach your dreams and goals. Then we talk about also the 1% better everyday mindset, right? So what can you do every day to propel yourself to make your reality whenever that counts? How do you get 1% better every day? And how can you make sure you are getting 1% better by having it be something you can track, right? So if I want to get better at juggling, I'm going to juggle for 10 minutes a day, every day. That's something I can track, right? That's something I can time myself and know that I did that and juggle 10 minutes every day to improve. And I bet after doing that, your juggling will improve, right? So that's something that I really talk about in the mentality of the 1% Kid. Main message of it is a young black boy that has a dream of playing college soccer at his dream university. And it talks about what his journey was like, the ups, the downs, the sad times, the happy times. And then it talks about him finally reaching that goal of playing college soccer at his dream university. And for any kid to see themselves when they have a dream or a goal, to be, whether it's a president, to be a lawyer, to be a speaker, an entrepreneur, whatever it is, it's possible. But you have to have those 3 characteristics we talk about, and then also that 1% better everyday mindset. So that's what the book's about. And it's been truly a joy to write and see it in the kids' hands.
Awesome. Yes. And we'll make sure to put the details of that book where they can get them as well. So I guess the one question will be, so did you apply that book and the 1% during your time at Phoenix playing in the USL? So did you use that book as well to kind of motivate you, and use that 1% to kind of get you out of that injury time?
Yeah, I always use the 1% mindset, but I actually didn't write the book until I was done playing for Phoenix Rising. So I always use the 1% better everyday mindset while I was playing and while I was getting back from my injury. I didn't write the book until after playing for Phoenix Rising, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, but I think sometimes you probably already had the book written in your head. It was just not on paper just yet. It
Right.
from
You're
what
probably
I'm
right about
understanding.
that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. So would you, if you had maybe a kid, kind of ask you what is that one thing that you probably did a little bit better than another kid that allowed you to, pretty much meet every single goals that you had in mind, you've met. Um, you've gone from, playing a kid that pretty much did not have an idol that to look up to, especially in the US, and that still propelled you to play in clubs, playing one of the biggest colleges in the US, and then becoming a pro. So you pretty much beat the odds on a lot of on paper, and you're pretty much one of the 1% kid um, to make it to the pros, um, especially a Black American kid that even puts you in a different category of kids. So, what is that one thing that you would kind of tell a kid to use or implement to kind of help them reach that goal?
Yeah. Yeah. No, God definitely blessed me with a lot of God given abilities. But I would say the one thing that I tell kids that's truly separated me from other people and my peers was my mindset. From a young age, I was a goal driven dude. I don't know where this came, but it just was who I am. And actually, when I was younger, I wrote above my bed piece of paper. I wrote like why. So YWHY with a question mark, and then I below that I wrote um, like different reasons of why I want to play pro, why I want to go to the Ohio State University, and then I taped it above my bed so that I would fall asleep, and wake up to my why and why I want to achieve those dreams and goals that I set for myself. No one told me to do this. My parents never told me to do this. It was just in me, and I said, I'm going to write this. And actually, one day my mom came in. She was like, "Why did you tape that on the ceiling? It's gonna mess up the paint." But she was also so happy of me. She was so happy and impressed by me writing my why and the reason to achieve these goals. Because even people that are adults don't do that. So that's really what has separated me from others. My mindset and my goal-driven mindset to achieve what I want to achieve, no matter what comes in my way. There's always a way to get around it, through it, over it, and then end up reaching your dream or goal that you set for yourself.
That's quite impressive. I would say most kids, you still have to tell them where to put their soccer cleats on and to get dressed before a game. So, you having your why, pretty much, it's quite impressive, and definitely many kids will have to listen to that and maybe get inspired because you know my son forgot his jersey 2 weeks ago, so that's a whole nother discussion. But we'll bring it that one. So how was that experience that you saw that you were at the elementary, talking to those kids with your book and others? Um, you know, what kind of fulfillment it is now that what you're doing as a motivational speaker, author. So what are your goals now? And well, first, how was that experience? And then can you tell us a little bit more of what you're hoping to accomplish with um, your professional life
Yeah,
as a speaker?
yeah, it's been amazing for me. To be honest, I never knew that this was going to be like in my life, like being an author or being a speaker. I never would have thought this was a possibility. But after I wrote my book, many people would ask me, "Hey, can you come read the book to this class or to these students or to this organization?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I can do that, no problem." And then I started to develop and get better and better, and then people would pay me to do that. And I was like, "Wow, I can actually get paid for doing something I'm truly passionate about." Right, kind of just like soccer. Right, I love the game of soccer, still do to this day. I love the game. So now I'm able to turn that passion into something else with speaking and inspiring kids to reach their dreams and goals. So whenever I go to a school or I go to a company where I'm talking to professionals and older individuals, I keep that same message, right? That you can achieve anything you put your mind to, as long as you have the right mindset and characteristics. But it's even more amazing when I go into these kids' um, schools to talk to them about it, because these are kids that these are things that I wish I had when I was growing up. I never had a speaker come in and talk about, hey, it's possible, you can do this, and this is how you do it, right? So I like to be that outlet and that role model for the kids that when you have a dream or a goal that you set for yourself from a young age, you have to start doing things to reach that goal now, right? People say you can wait and you have all this time, but in reality, you really don't have all this time. You have to start putting actions in place and your plan in place to reach that dream or goal. So whenever I go into these kids, the schools for these kids, I want to leave them more inspired with a plan, and I want to leave their minds more creative of what they can truly achieve, right? I feel like a lot of these kids have blinders of what their surroundings are like. They don't know that it doesn't matter what your surroundings are like. It doesn't matter what you see. You can achieve, you can be new, you can be the person to break that generational curse. So that's how I always like to leave, having these kids with a smile on their face and inspired. So it definitely brings
Oh,
me joy.
excellent. And I think what better way, right? So it makes your day a lot more enjoyable.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so so is there another school or anything that you have in the next weeks or a month that you would like to kind of share with us and see how the good people of the internet and the people that follow can kind of help with?
Yeah, so I just actually was at a school last week, a school in Chandler. So I've been doing a lot of it lately. I would love to come to school, any school or youth organization or any company in the entire country or even in the entire world, open to traveling. But I actually have a keynote speech um, in Minnesota on May 15th with a organization called ACES, which is Athletes Committed to Educating Students.
Nice.
So I'll be their keynote speaker at their gala on May 15th in Minneapolis, which is something that is truly big for me, and I'm truly honored. And I could not be more excited to share my story and inspire some more people to reach dreams and chase their dreams.
Nice. So we'll make sure we'll share it. So anyone that's in that region, come and check it out and show some support. So I guess now it's on that fun part of the podcast where I'll probably ask you 5 questions or so. And I guess we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
So I guess so for the first one, I will say, was there one person or a mentor that you had close to you that you could reach out to and talk to, or that you want to give a quick shout out that's has a big impact in your life so far?
Ooh, I would say one of the biggest people that had a huge impact on my life was my club coach, David Belfort. He was definitely not easy on me. He was definitely tough on me. Like I remember a time where I got kicked out of practice because I was not being the best teammate or being the best player for him, but I needed that, right? Um, but he told a quote to our team one day. It was like, "Would you rather be a horse that needs to be pulled back, or a horse that needs to be whipped?" And that resonated with me, right? That quote will always stick with me for a long time because I'm one of those people that I need to be pulled back. I don't want it, right? I don't need exterior motivation to be my best self. I'm intrinsically motivated. So he's someone that has truly helped me achieve my dreams and goals, and I still keep in contact with him today. So that's someone that for sure was a big mentor for me in reaching and achieving my dream.
Nice, nice. Looks like we might have to duplicate that, coach, because sometimes these kids are a little soft these days. So it looks like we might have to give them a call if someone's out of place. Uh,
Right.
yes.
Exactly.
So and the other part is the upcoming World Cup is in the US next year. So that will be a two-part question. So the first one is how do you see the US do in the upcoming World Cup? And two, who do you think is most likely to win it? And you can put two if you like.
Ooh. The US doing in the World Cup. First off, I'm super excited about it being in the US. Like I will have to go to as many games as possible. This is a once in a lifetime experience. I remember watching the World Cup when it was in South Africa, and I had to wake up at like 3 a.m., 2 a.m. at the age of like 12, 13 to watch the World Cup games.
Yep.
So I can't wait to watch them in person here. The U.S. I don't know. I feel like the U.S. hadn't even qualified for the World Cup if it wasn't in the U.S. If I'm being honest. So I hope they do well. I hope they do well, but I think maybe to get out of their group. But I don't know if they go much further than that. I hope they do. I hope they prove me wrong. But I'm not too optimistic based on the results I've seen recently. It's not too promising. But who I think is going to win? Geez, Spain looks very good. They have a very good, young, talented core of players, and I love the way they play. They're not old and just pass it around. They pass and they go fast, right? They're fast and direct, and that's something that I think is very rare. Then I love France, so I think France has a stacked team, and I hope they go very far as well.
All right, all right. Well, you closed it out with the best team that's most likely gonna win it, but maybe I'm a little biased, but that's another discussion. And no, the 2010 World Cup, I also tried to forget it because it was not the best friends on and off the pitch. So I also tried to erase that out of my memory. But totally fair. And yes, Spain is definitely one that should be up there if thing works out as they want to. So
Mm-hmm.
and another question is, I guess what every kid is asking now these days, Ronaldo, Messi, but you kind of said you were looking up to Ronaldo growing up. So when those two clash together, are you still rooting for your guy?
Yeah, that's hard.
Mhm.
So I think I've come like I when I was younger, Ronaldo was my guy, like definitely like my role model. But as I've gotten older, I think Ronaldo's the best human player. I think Messi's the best like player. I don't think Messi is a human. The way he plays is just amazing. So I think Ronaldo's the best player ever. I think Messi's just the best like alien. Like the way he plays the game is just amazing. I think he's the best player ever. Um, but I still love both of them, and I cherish both of them. And I just was blessed to be able to see them, and then both of them prime as I got older, and to look up to them. So still a big Ronaldo fan, but I think Messi's the best ever.
So if you had to add a third player in that discussion, maybe not in the same atmosphere, but if you had a chance to add, another one that say, hey, he should be talked about or she should be talked about, who would that be?
That's hard. Well, obviously Pele. Like my dad would show me Pele highlights and stuff like, and tell me about Pele when I was younger. And I remember reading a Pele book. So I would say Pele's up there, obviously. Um, Someone else I think should be up there. Oh, that's hard. I think there were some amazing players that had like what separates Messi and Ronaldo from everyone else is the longevity of them doing it for.
Mhm.
There's been some amazing players that have done it on the same level as Ronaldo and Messi, but for only like 4 or 5 years. Ronaldo and Messi have been doing it for 15 to 20 years at the top level. So I don't really know if I can put anyone else in that category, if I'm being honest.
That's fair. It definitely a lot of kids, those 2000 kids. I think pretty much that's all we know. That's what all they know is Ronaldo with and Messi with all the Ballon d'Or. So that makes total sense. Um, and I guess I won't put you on the spot for any professional team because I'm sure you have Phoenix Rising is probably one of your the team you root for. So is there an added team that you watch in no matter which league they play for that you kind of enjoy the most watching in the States?
Oh, in the States. Ooh, in the States.
Yeah, we got to keep it local.
In the States, I love this crew.
Okay.
I'm from Ohio, played at Ohio State, which is in Columbus. So I'm a big fan of the Columbus crew, and I know they have a black coach, which is awesome to me. You don't see that often, so I definitely root for Columbus crew. And I love watching USL. I watch USL in MLS, if I'm being honest. So
Yeah.
um, I would say I really enjoy watching Charleston Battery. I have a friend on the team, Josh Draft. And then also, I really am a fan of their coach. I think it's Ben Perriman. So those are two teams that I watch pretty often. So
Nice, nice. So we have the St. Louis connection. There's Johnny Klein that just moved to Charleston too. So there's that connection there. And Phoenix Rising, you got a few Senegalese player on there. So
Yes,
yes, it
Mo Traore, and then I
um
know there's
Boy, yes,
yeah, yep. I remember him. I remember he played at Clemson and he was a baller.
yes,
So yeah, there's a couple of Senegalese players on Phoenix Rising.
yeah. So like we talked, off camera, where even though soccer is a global sport, it's still a small world for those involved in that environment. So you will always find someone that you know. So
Hmm.
um, and your character pretty much is shown. So I think I've asked a few people about you before we got on this podcast, and nothing but great things about you. So that's it speaks a thousand words more than even playing on the pitch where uh, you ask someone's name and they say nothing but uh, great things. And
No,
hardest
appreciate
worker
it.
was one of them.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Whoever you asked and said that things about me, I don't take it lightly. I'm really appreciative, and I like to live by example. I don't like to just write a book that's called the 1% Kid. I like to embody everything it talks about. So for people to say I'm a good person and I work hard, there's nothing better.
I think just your history from what you've told us, from three all the way to where you are now, you're technically a 1% and probably less, under 1% because of the fact that what you had to go through and also the barriers that you broke. So that was one of the reasons that kind of impressed me is that yes, I have the African connection, so we do see a lot of them moving down the ranks. But I always like to see also my African American friends to enjoy the sport that I grew up watching, and especially those that makes it up to the pros. Is pretty much how you build out the sport, and the kids that play in the future is that they can look up to, hey, Channing made it all through this process. So definitely want to highlight you guys because you have a bigger contribution to the sport of soccer than you get credit for.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I don't know. Who knows? It might be. I'm only 24, so I might have to get back to playing
Yeah, hey,
professionally. If the right opportunity comes around, like I still play, still stay fit. But if it's the right opportunity, I would definitely get back. It's hard to leave that love of the game for sure.
hey, we know people. Now you just put it out there that yes, you are still training and you are still ready if somebody makes the call, right?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
All right, so I guess this is exclusive, so we'll make sure that we know everybody knows that you are ready. You're just a phone call away, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a phone call
Uh,
away. Not far at all.
yes. So and the last question, I think it's not really a question. So um anything that you like, that we don't know about you that you like the good people of the world in St. Louis know about who is training outside of playing soccer, being an author, and being a motivation speaker.
Ooh. Well, I would say Chang is someone that is also truly passionate about business and entrepreneurship. I love learning about the ins and outs of business, and people that have achieved great things in life. Like I just love seeing people that have dreams and goals and people that were doubted and then end up creating something amazing. Um, I love reading different stories about that. I love listening to podcasts about those type of people. And then actually, I'm gonna say this: like, if this might be surprising. Like, if you know who David Goggins is, like that's
Who
someone that
doesn't know
I
these guys?
yeah, like that's
Yes.
someone that I aspire to be like. Like David, I like to be myself, but I want on the same level of David Goggins as like no excuses, stay hard. And I would love to meet him, like get one of those David Goggins words with him. So that's like something I feel like is a little bit of a secret. Like I love David Goggins, like everything, the mentality, everything he stands for. That is just who I want to be like and exemplify.
Yeah, and he's been authentic since day one, so he has not changed. So yes, He's one for sure, and I don't think no one can say anything to him to affect him.
No, I don't think so either.
Excellent, excellent. So yes, so I definitely appreciate your time. It was a great conversation. So we'll make sure we'll let everybody know where they can catch your book, know where your next speaking engagements are, and also we'll let people know that you are still ready to play. Just a one phone call away.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Musa. Thank you for this platform that you do for game of soccer, not only in St. Louis, but also throughout America and beyond. Like it just you don't see many things like this, and I know so many people have told me about you and your podcast. And I will continue to spread the word about your podcast and the great work you're doing. So I got to give you your flowers, and I appreciate you for reaching out and giving me the time to speak on here.
I appreciate it, and we'll make sure we're making an in person because my wife actually's family is from Ohio, so we Springboro. That's where we go a lot of the time on there. So when we're in that state, we'll definitely will have to let you know when if you're there and
Yeah,
make it
let me know.
happen.
I'll get out there. I'll get out there. Flight isn't too bad.
Yes. Also, yeah. And if you want to come to St. Louis and watch CDSC play,
Yeah.
I have a seat with your name on it right next to me. Just just pick the date and you make your way here. You have an entrance to the stadium.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll definitely have
Yes.
to take you up on that. I'll definitely have to take you up on that.
Just say the date.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you all and appreciate your time. Those of you that joined me on a live interview, I think you are the first guest to go on live interview with me. So it looks
Wow,
like,
I'm honored. I'm
the first and the 1% kid, I think that was probably the perfect number, right?
1% better every day. Yep, you're right.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, thank you all. Hope you have a blessed day. I'm in St. Louis. Stay cool, and we'll see you soon for another episode of Football. And make sure you like, subscribe, and do all that crazy stuff. And on Spotify, 5-star review and leave a comment and let us know if Channing should come back when that book just hits the best-selling book author. Who knows?
Yep,
Other
most
than that,
definitely. And I gotta
yes, go
say a
ahead.
shout out to yeah, like, subscribe this podcast, share with everyone. This is probably one of the most authentic and most enjoyable podcasts I've been on. So definitely everyone share it with your network. And if you have any connections that can be great for Musa, please share them with him because he's doing all the great work. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel at the 1% Kid as well, so we can. And then also like Musa said, hopefully I could be a best-selling author, be best podcast.
Hey, I appreciate it. That's all the connection, and when we all eat, we all stay happy. I think that's the way I see it.
Most definitely.
Yes. All right. Thank you all, everyone, and we'll see you soon next time. And enjoy football because we only have one life to live. Peace.